Welcome to the Addison podcast, where we talk about what it actually takes to hit your first six or multi-six figures in business. I'm Addison, certified clinical hypnotherapist and online business coach for entrepreneurs. And 3 years ago, I decided that nursing wasn't for me, dropped out of nursing school, and dove into the online space. From free hypnosis audios to unfiltered conversations and business advice, this is the space for you to take radical responsibility towards creating your dream business. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Isabel here with Soulful, who is a soulful brand designer and creative wellness guide, and her brand is Unconventional Bliss. I'm so excited to talk with Isabel today. She helps heart-led visionaries and leaders like you that are here, that are listening to this podcast, launch innovative creative projects. And she also combines some really cool wellness practices into the way that she does brand design and just creative direction in business. So I'm super excited to chat and welcome.
Hello, I'm so excited to chat with you and get into all of the things.
I am too. So we chatted a little bit before this, and I was just asking you some questions about how you interweave your creative, direction and brands with the practices and stuff like that. And you were just telling me a little bit about rituals that you use to connect deeper with your brand and stuff like that. I would love to chat even deeper about that. But first, I would actually love to hear just a little bit about how you even got into the brand side of things and really like your bread and butter in the space, a little bit about your journey and stuff like that. I think that's a great place to start, just so people can learn a little bit more about you.
Sure, I'd love that. So hello everyone. Again, I'm Isabel Bagsik of Unconventional Bliss, and I am a soulful brand designer and so excited to blend the world of intuitive practices and strategy together. And so my experience, my journey is that I did study design and digital media in university. That was what I double majored in, and went through the traditional route of being a designer and art director in the creative industry in different companies, and had the pleasure of supporting and creating and being on campaigns for high profile clients, celebrities, and companies. And I feel like that was such an amazing training ground, really, of thinking about the strategy side of things and creative direction on these large projects. And now building my own business, really taking that experience and my passion for community gathering and events and culture, bringing that all together into what I do today in what feels so exciting and playful for me, of bridging the intuitive practices and creative rituals with the strategic side of things that also excite me. And what's funny enough is that what was a catalyst for building my own business in this world was getting laid off from my art director job. And with that kind of mini mass layoff in that company, I actually felt ready. That as they were telling me, I felt a bit excited. I felt like, okay, universe is saying, time to go, kick off the cliff, kick off the ledge, and you're ready. And that's kind of what jump-started me doing all of this today.
I love that. I love that you looked at it from the perspective of like, how cool. This is a new direction versus being, really frustrated. I'm sure it was frustrating, but still just that aspect. So that was what really got you into the business space. So after you were laid off, did you jump right into like, contracting with people or doing projects, or right into Instagram? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that as well too? Because I think, as a brand designer, I think it's interesting to hear from your perspective, like how you built your brand from the ground up.
Yeah. It was definitely a journey, and I feel like it's been kind of a evolution, or this following this thread. So for years I've been doing work and following these passion projects and pursuing these things in the intersection of creativity, wellness, and culture and community. And it's just looked like different things, or in different containers or structures and forms. And funny enough, once again, this platform, Unconventional Bliss, started off at the very beginning, right before I went to college, as this fashion lifestyle blog. And I just kept the name, but instead of now being a blog, it's transitioned into my business today and this other thing. And it's just been this space to express my creativity. That Instagram, that platform, was to express these different things that I was going through and kind of letting my personal brand evolve with me. And really, the heart of it was inviting people into my behind the scenes process, my insights, my reflections, and my learnings along the way, and letting people in on the things that I was pursuing, whether it was a passion project or a new job, an exciting project, or this new business. And so when I did get laid off, I let myself kind of rest. And I am grateful that I've had been saving into my savings account for an emergency, which this felt like a big life transition. And something in the back of my mind wanted to play with what I used to do outside of work, which was um, facilitating community experiences, whether in person or virtually. And so I knew that I wanted to reach out to a handful of friends and peers who either had small businesses or were in the coaching industry, and just to get their feedback and what that experience was like. And so that helped me get a better idea of how I wanted to start my own business and play around with that. And yeah, just like experimented with there, putting on my first workshop and getting informed little by little about how the community was responding and letting that shape what my next steps were.
That's really cool to hear. And I like that the journey was really, I want to say, like intuitive for you,
Mm.
which probably is an embodiment of what you preach now in your business. And I love that you took it from personal brand to then listening to your community and getting to the place of, you know, actually building a business. That's so cool to hear. And you mentioned your passion projects and just, you know, having the personal brand side of things where you shared your insights and stuff, which I think is so cool. And a lot of people want to blend the personal brand with the business brand, right? But I would actually love to hear about some of the personal projects just so people can understand how cool you are. Because I'm reading through your bio and I'm like, you've worked with some really amazing people and also you launched a successful magazine, right? Can you tell us a little bit about like that experience and designing that and launching that and yeah, just some of those passion projects and the branding behind it. Even for
Mhm.
someone that is like, okay, what is really behind the scenes of brand designing and just learning more about that, you know, for someone that just launched a business and didn't think much about the creative direction of it. I think that would be really cool to hear that process.
Yes. So, what I was doing for the passion project that really kind of opened up a lot of doors for me and opened up the this self concept that I couldn't even comprehend was possible until that. So, this passion project in particular was a magazine called Brown Papaya, which stemmed from my desire to uh, go back to creating these community spaces of vulnerable, courageous dialogue spaces that I had the honor and privilege of experiencing when I was really involved with the Filipinx American community on my university. At my university, I was really involved there. I was a student leader there for pretty much my whole time there, and wanted to bring that to my local community. And also this desire of doing some creative project outside of my internships that I was doing at the time. And this was happening about a year after graduating. And I had a full time internship. I was commuting almost 3 hours, taking public transit a day. And I had a lot of time on those train rides. So I really wanted to let myself bridge those intentions of, okay, what is a fun passion project that I want to play with, which was something in print design. I really wanted something that was tangible, that I can play with layout design and photo shoots. And also the intention of connecting with local community. And that was a lot of experimentation. And again, like you said, a lot of intuitive work of, okay, let me just follow this thread, this thing that I'm curious about. Really, beginner's mindset can be so powerful, such momentum and fire, because I didn't have something to compare myself to. Sure, there was a lot of inspiration, but what's interesting is that now that I have more experience, it's harder to return to projects like that because I have something to compare myself to. But at the time, it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just do it. And I'm curious and excited, and I have no expectations. I thought it would just be a handful of my friends, but I put a call out into the digital universe on Instagram and Twitter at the time. And there was such a handful of responses and interest to be a part of this project nationwide, even a couple of people in other countries. And it was so affirming and exciting. And that fire of excitement that was felt everywhere just kept that going for the year that I created. And so I just learned along the way. I'm like, okay, I need to create an organized Google form for people who are interested because I was getting so many DMs. Um, and from there, we did the project. It was so beautiful to have two people volunteer their photography services for free because they just believed in the mission. And it was really focused on dismantling toxic beauty expectations within the Philippine X American culture, especially in women and non binary folks, and creating those spaces to showcase what beauty really looks like in terms of the diversity, shapes, colors, sizes, different hair textures. And it was such a lovely experience of all the people that attended, almost 40 people interviewed and photographed. Um, and it just grew and evolved, and I responded to the community's interest in that, and it just evolved into these workshops at universities, co-creating a retreat, kind of an extension of that, being invited to different publications. And there was no money involved in terms of, this is not a for-profit thing. I just wanted this free because this was to play for me. And I was not pitching myself to do any talks or anything, but people were coming through because they also resonated with this project. And I think, you know, what I tell my creative mentorship mentee clients is that, what is your why? What is your intention when it comes to creating a project or your business? Because with that foundation, you know, you'll have that fire to create and show up sustainably for a long time. Whereas if your focus is on, oh, I want to go viral, I want to be famous, I want to have this much money. If that's the only thing that you're focused on, you'll either get burned out, you're going to lose interest. It's not, people are not going to be interested because there's no depth to the work. So yeah, just so much learnings there, and also learning about rest because I definitely got burned out, and a lot of learnings there. But I'll pause there for now, and it was just a lovely experience.
I love this so much. If we wanted to read this publication or get access to it, can is it still available? Like maybe you could tell people how they can see this project because I'm like, I this sounds incredible. I need to learn
Oh,
more.
yeah. It is still online, either on Instagram or .com. So if you just search up brown papaya, you should find it.
Okay, perfect. I love that. So that leads me to this conversation of your current clients and the passion projects that you help these innovative leaders create, as well as brands and soulful brand design. What is soulful brand design to you? Like
Mm.
what does that mean to you? Because I really want to talk about how you integrate these creative rituals like meditation and tarot and
Mhm.
oracle cards and into your practices, and just how much deeper I think like brand design is to you than what I initially thought it was. Like I just love this topic of conversation. So what does soulful brand design mean to you?
Yes. So when I was in the design and creative industry, it was really focused on strategy and being pixel perfect and all of these things. And there's definitely space and need for that. But I was really interested now in building out my own business of bringing in intuitive practices, bringing in the heart and soul of someone's creativity to remember what that is, and being able to translate and alchemize your authenticity through visuals that people can experience and see and understand even deeply. Kind of like thinking about the term, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So immediately, some people can see a brand and immediately know what their vibe is. Can they trust them? Is there a sense of safety here? Is there a sense of expertise there? You can really get that sense immediately from how someone presents themselves. Kind of like, I also think of it like how you dress up for a job. What kind of impression are you putting on for people? And of course, the messaging and the integrity and authenticity of your work is key as foundation for your business. But the branding really helps bring that to life in a way that can be really exciting, in a way that really creates hype and draws in the people that you want to another level. So again, soulful branding is just bringing in these creative rituals and connecting with your intuition to bring forth some of the insights or messages around your branding that can often be really overwhelming when we're thinking about these different templates and practices and steps that you have to do around strategy. Sometimes it's just within and it's always there, and quieting down the noise of the external and the how to's and the quote unquote the shoulds of the world.
I love that because I think of like the strategy being the ABC, here's the actual steps that you take. But then, like you're saying, these intuitive project or processes or practices that you use being like actually bringing the soul and authenticity into it, and bringing like, yeah, the essence of who you are. So it's so much deeper than just like, your brand should have these colors, should have this palette, should have this, right? So I would love to hear just the process of what you take your clients through to get to this point of creating these authentic brands that are just like felt and seen and heard in the online space that are so much deeper than that. What does that process look like? What practices do you use? And can you just tell us a little bit more about that for someone that's like, wow, this sounds so cool, but what does that mean? How do
Yeah.
you bring that forward?
Yes, yes. I actually went through this process this week with a new client, and it was so beautiful to once again affirm this process and what came through. And she just used the word excited pretty much the whole thing, the whole time together because of the deep insights that came up. And with that, thinking about really not just what brand you're building, but what legacy are you here to leave behind? And I think that's a question that I'm really interested in terms of what your brand is. And so, with this process, in our initial call, I love inviting folks into an opening meditation to visualize and really get this emotional sense to the energy on the essence of your brand, of your business, to help guide what your designs are, what the visuals are, the feelings and emotions that you want to evoke in your dream clients and community, something that you'd be genuinely excited about. And so it's really exciting to guide them through this experience. And even though everyone shares these different insights that come through, it really paints such a deep picture beyond just the brand colors and color psychology, but really like who do they see in this visualization as their dream clients? What feelings are coming up? Someone had like could hear and see some conversations that came up that became a common thread in how they wanted their brand to appear and feel like. So that's really powerful. And that's only in like maybe 10 minutes or so part of the call. And then we dive into more of the strategy conversation to thread that and weave that with a questionnaire that I would have sent them to learn more about their business and their goals and their challenges. And after that, closing with an oracle card reading or journal prompts if you're not someone who practices with oracle cards, to really synthesize those pieces of the conversation and see what insights come through, what messages, what themes to see the overarching message and direction for the brand identity. So I would go off to customize and create those concepts and the brand assets for you.
And with the insights that come through in the meditation and that you blend together with the strategy, is that guiding the colors that you use and the like bigger brand values and
Yeah,
all of the pieces of the brand design? Can you maybe give us an
sure.
example of something that you found really, really insightful or cool, or, you know, with a client,
Mhm.
or an example of how this has even led your own brand to the point where it is?
Yes. So on a recent call this week, from the things that she shared and the textures and the colors and the conversations that she envisioned in the visualization, and then we talked more on the strategy and her goals for her business. There were some common words and visuals that came up time and time again throughout the conversation that were like, okay, this feels exciting for both of us. And this feels really clear in terms of the direction of the brand. For example, a word regal intuitively came up through me from what she was sharing, and she hooked on that and was like so excited and loved the energy that came through with that word and the way that she wants to evolve her brand. And another piece that came through as a theme was something about a door or a key or something about a home, because it ties really closely to the name of her business and the emotion and feeling that she wants to bring, kind of like inviting people into a home or having this sense of community and familiarity and intimacy, that she's not just inviting clients into her business, but it's creating that sense of kinship within a home kind of space. And so it's still early on in the creative development for that project, but I can see a lot of potential in terms of the way the colors are made or the way the logo gets shaped up, taking those insights together. And for another client, we were talking about her logo, and she was saying how previous designers were didn't quite click in combining her personal brand with the clients that she wanted to work with and call in. And so again, I took her through that visualization. I took her through an inner child practice to connect with a deeper part of herself, to channel an intuitive insight. And from that, we were talking through, seeing some visual references. And because of the things that she shared, there was this image or this idea that intuitively came through for me of what that's a symbol. And I asked, oh, what do you think of this? And immediately got excited. And she said, yes, that's exactly it. That totally represents me because X, Y, and Z. And so it's so cool to see, and time again, how these really simple tools and practices can create these immediate, effortless, and exciting insights versus having to go through different, let's say, ideal client avatar worksheets or creating other or using other strategy exercises, which do have their space. But when I'm working with someone who might be overwhelmed with all of those steps, I think it's really cool to be able to offer them these other options to blend in their branding work.
I cannot even tell you the amount of times I've had a client be like, I'm so tired of client avatars. I'm so tired of niching. I'm so, you know what I mean? So I love how you're bringing a different, yeah, just a different point of view into the design aspect and allowing them to connect deeper, you know, than just asking a question of like, where do you see your brand going, right? Like you're
Yeah.
allowing them to relax into it and create the space to really envision that. So I'm obsessed with this
Yeah.
model of your brand. I think it's so cool. It's a lot of what I do with hypnotherapy and taking
Mm.
people into a hypnosis state to envision and create. And so it's just right up my alley, and I love all of it. I was just going to say, as a side note, I've definitely been in those situations as a client where we've been doing branding for maybe one of my programs or something, and I've been asked, well, you know, can you connect to like an animal with this, or can you connect to, a word, or and just sitting there and thinking up these words or visuals or ideals in regards to the brand can be really challenging when you're not feeling into it. So I just love that, even with that example with regal, like that's not a word that I typically use with my brand, or that I just use in general. And so having the space to sit there and connect intuitively with things that might represent your brand, I just think is so cool. So
Yeah.
I love all of this. I love this conversation. And you briefly mentioned inner child healing. And I know that we had talked a little bit about how you use a lot of inner child healing to connect creatively with your business. And then it sounds like to also connect deeper with brands, which I think is really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well, too? Just
Yes.
the like, why inner child healing? What got you into that in business? And maybe we can also talk like some simple practices and stuff that you use.
Definitely. So this is something that's just been growing as somewhat like a signature practice that has been so popular and so amazing to see, again, the immediate insights and transformation that happens in like a 5-minute practice, which I'm excited to share in a bit. And I've offered this through um, for, creative mentees, to my branding clients, to even an in-person retreat with these social impact leaders who are building and doing a new evolution into their organization. And so it's so important, no matter what level, no matter what background you're in. And the work that I've been doing personally, I found it so healing. So I feel like it's so tied to creativity, because when we look to and observe children, the we often see them just so carefree, so not thinking about how do I monetize this hobby. They're just creating and drawing outside the lines. They're not pressured by timelines. If they get bored, they move on to the next thing. Um, and so it's so liberating to return to that and think about, how do I return to that inner child play? Really, play is often missing in creativity, where these days we have all these rigid notions and ideas and boxes and templates of how to be more creative. But really, there's no creativity is so infinite, and it's supposed to get experimental and weird and going outside of the lines. And so, with inner child practices and returning to that, helps with also connecting to the more intuitive side of yourself, because you're just like acting quickly on your creative nudges, um, and remembering that your inner child is always with you. They're never, just because you got older doesn't mean they're gone forever. They're always with you, and you can always access that. And again, it's a matter of quieting down to connect with them, whether it's through a meditation or through these other ways to do so. So for example, one practice that I've done for myself was, I wanted to buy some chalk, some colorful chalk. It was like maybe $3, and that allowed me to play and draw in my backyard, and just like, no, there's no quote unquote productive outcomes here or goals. I just wanted to draw. And how do you create that space for yourself to play that isn't related to your business? And it helps with innovative thinking, to let your subconscious do the work in the background. And one of those tangible practices that I love to invite the listeners into is this non-dominant handwriting technique, which I've invited a lot of folks into with different prompts. And so this is stemmed from an art therapist practice. And the non-dominant hand is the hand that you don't usually write with. So for me, I use my right hand daily to write. Um, so my non-dominant hand would be my left hand. And so I invite folks into writing a very simple prompt, whatever we're working on. So if it's around branding, in this conversation, it could be around, what does the essence of my brand want to tell me? And I would use my regular writing hand to write that prompt. And then in response, I would respond with my non dominant hand, and let myself write, let myself respond, don't overthink. Even if I'm saying I don't know what to say, I don't know, writing that over and over, that's fine. And just getting curious with what comes through. And that is your inner child, your intuitive side, your non-linear thinking, answering for you. Your wisdom, that wisdom and the answers are already with you. And it's always exciting to see what comes out because when you look at the page, it looks like a child drew it or wrote it because it's messy, unless you're ambidextrous, of course. But, if you're not normally using that other hand, it reminds you of your inner child too. So it's really amazing to see the insights that come through so quickly in like 5 minutes, um, and so deeply profound, oftentimes, the insights and the messages that come through from that.
I love that these practices are also so simple. Like, that's so simple for someone to even implement now if they wanted to, right? If they were struggling with creativity, or even the practices that you mentioned before, the guided meditation that you take them through, or the oracle reading, right? It doesn't require them to do more strategy or take more
Yeah.
action. It's really just connecting deeper with themselves, which I think is so needed in the online space when we're going around and we just see, here's templates to go viral, or here's this to do
Right.
this. It's really just like connecting back to you and your authenticity. And I just love that. I would love to know, just because we're talking about like creativity and that, getting into that playful side of you, what would you recommend to someone who is maybe in a creative rut or is struggling with content creation, or wants to take maybe their brand to the next level, but doesn't even know what the next step is, or feels like maybe consciously they don't know what the next step is? Do you have any tips for that rut or that lack of creativity? Because I know we all have moments where we experience it.
Yes. I mean, same. I do
Yeah.
too. And oftentimes with that, it's taking a pause from consuming and listening to what's happening in the online world, because that can often clog or constipate our own creative channels because we're getting bombarded with what we quote unquote should do, or this is how we're supposed to show up in our business, or all of these things. And it limits our creativity because we are socialized into thinking we have to show up in a certain way. So go out, touch grass, actually step away from the computer and let your subconscious, do the work and let your brain do other things. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to be in the liminal space of the unknown. I was going through such a deep, liminal, muddy, foggy moment, um, at the beginning of 2024, around like March 2024. And now I have such deep clarity. And it's really, if there is this inkling of an idea, to just have conversations. I think that also helps too, of having these questions and just getting to conversation so that your brain can start, untangling these thoughts that are there but aren't yet clear. Conversation with your peers, with friends outside of the industry, with mentors, with, on your Instagram stories, with your community, and just putting questions out there. Maybe even saying like, "Oh, I don't know, but this is something that I'm curious about," and allowing in this behind the scenes process and letting people see that. And again, with creativity, what are other things that bring you joy, that bring you pleasure, that allow you to take a rest so that you can bring back this playfulness into your life, that it doesn't have to be, your business, but these other practices or activities can help really supplement, even though it may seem extra or, not directly related to your income or whatnot, but it does help inform and inspire how you show up every day, how inspired you feel, your energy, and everything. So maybe thinking about what is one activity or thing that you've been pushing off to the side, or a thing that connects you with your inner child to play. I think that's a big part of it. Where do you let yourself play, or where have you not allowed yourself to play? And from there, that also too helps with innovative, creative, unique ways of showing up in your business, because you're just playing now. It's not like, oh, I have to have this many reels a week, but you just feel excited to talk on IG lives or whatnot, because again, you're playing, you're experimenting, and you're letting yourself explore something new.
I love all of that as well too. Everything that you're saying, I'm like, yes, this is incredible. Because I feel like well, I'm hearing from you giving yourself permission to, if you have that creative rut or you have a moment of lack of clarity, that you take a step back, you rest, watch something that has nothing to do with business, read something that has nothing to do with
Mm,
personal development or business, and give
yes.
yourself, that space to explore other avenues of creativity. And even like the inner child practices, the first thing that came to my mind was, I had a conversation with a client about, who was in a creative rut about going to the pool and like diving for quarters or something in the pool, because that was something that they did as a
Oh my
kid,
gosh.
like doing something fun like that. So that's where my mind goes as well too, is like doing something that has nothing to do with business or generating income. Like you said, I know my best ideas come when I'm not forcing it in the shower, or I'm on a walk with my dog, or I'm chatting with someone that's not even in the business space. So I love all of this. And I think those are such easy, again, like simple practices to just implement into their day, or to take an hour to do something fun and add in play. So I love that. How do we, like, for someone that maybe hasn't gone the formal brand design route, because I have a lot of clients even that have kind of DIY'd their brand, or, eventually want to get to the point of doing brand design or web design or whatever. How do they know they're ready to step into the brand design aspect? How do they know
Mm,
it's like the time to hire someone? It's like go time. Like they need their colors,
yeah.
they need their brand design. Um, yeah, just how do they know that's their next
Yeah.
step?
Yes, I love this. Um, so oftentimes what I say is, do you know the messaging that you have around your business? Do you know the products or the offerings and services that are either tested already, or they've been something that you've run a couple times, or have had market research on, that you have a clear sense of the inner workings of your business, and now it's time to package it up into a clear, exciting visual brand. Because oftentimes, if you don't have that clear foundation around your messaging, around your your business offerings, then you could change it really quickly. You're still experimenting. Then your brand is becomes outdated, or it doesn't match, because you're still evolving and experimenting. And I think that's totally fine to still experiment and change and allow yourself to grow in that way. Um, but if you are still like super new and still testing the waters on certain things, totally okay to be DIYing your branding. But in terms of up leveling your brand design with a creative partner, again, is having that foundation and know that you're ready to take it to the next level, or you're ready to pivot and refresh your visual brand to accurately represent who you are today. Because some people are going through transitions of their services, or maybe the way that they want to show up, or they've outgrown their brand, their visual brand, their brand photo shoots, and all of that. Maybe they've come to learn new things, they've had new certifications or trainings, or they've hit a plateau in their business. And so this refresh of a branding project and experience can really help take them to that next level in reaching their dream clients or their dream community, by making sure it all feels cohesive with where they are today.
Yeah, I've been one of those people who invested in brand design very early and have now done it like 3 or 4 times. So I
Yeah.
love the permission slip to wait until you're figuring those
Yeah.
things out. Obviously, I think our businesses are always ever evolving, and that's the beautiful part of business.
Mm.
But I love that, because I think going back to having shoulds and these have tos, and even taking some time to stop consuming and really tune back into yourself, right? There's this feeling of, if I don't have this, then I'm not going to be successful. And I love that you kind of just highlighted that the beginning parts of business, or when you're figuring those things out, it's back to that play, right? Like allowing yourself to play and be innovative and experiment with your audience and test out the offers and, have fun. So I really like that as well too. Cause I've had a lot of clients that have shared like, this is something I need to have and I don't feel confident until I don't have it.
Right.
And I think that you just highlighted that it's good to experiment a little bit. And then once you have some clarity, it's okay to evolve. Right. So I love that.
Yes, I love that conversation. Like, yes, definitely experiment. I mean, even as I'm shape shifting and evolving and tinkering with my own market research, I have at at the time of this recording, my design services, even as a designer, is on a Google Doc page, and I've already had clients through that. But it's because of the strong messaging and the way that I'm showing up, and the body of work that I've already built is creating that trust and safety with people. Um, but again, the branding helps with, packaging that up to that next level. And some people have shared, even in my market research, that when that not having a clear, cohesive brand has affected their confidence level in even talking about the work. And that cuts them off from potential clients who are excited to work with them because they don't feel excited with their own brand, or they're unclear with themselves because their branding is all over the place or not matching. So it's really interesting to be learning these insights that are coming through directly from this market research. But of course, there's this nuance again of letting this balance of experimenting and knowing when you're ready for that next level.
I love how you kind of just encompassed brand design as well too. Like it's not just the visuals; it's also like back to those processes and stuff. Like builds confidence in the individual and their brand to take it to the next level. I think there's so many internal things that shift with brand design too. I know for me there was confidence in selling more. There was confidence in creating even content for my social media and stuff like that. So I think it's just really cool how something as simple as like a meditation can bring about these beautiful pieces of a brand and colors. And we don't think colors are as big of a deal as they are, right? And then that can lead to this confidence that just takes your business to the next level. So I think it's really cool how you've intertwined all of this. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. I would love to hear if people are interested in soulful brand design or any, working with a creative partner. Where can they find you? What's the best place for them to go? And I know we'll have your freebie and probably your Instagram linked below so they can connect with you. But yeah, where do they start with you if they're like, it's time for a creative partner? I want to build that confidence and I want to do it soulfully and authentically.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you again for having me. This was such a fun and lovely conversation. And for those who are interested to continue with this exploration, again, I'm Isabel of Unconventional Bliss, and you can find me on Instagram or .com unconventional bliss. And if you had questions, feel free to slide into my DMs. I love chatting with folks, keeping that channel open. And again, if this is something that you'd like to explore and dip your toes into, I am so excited to offer my intuitive brand refresh, which is a 3-day email series that is free for you to sign up, and you get a really simple creative ritual that you can do on your own to get some clarity around your own brand. If you're building it fresh or you're doing a pivot in your work, and you get these prompts delivered directly to your email that you can do to get those insights and practices that you get to be invited into to actually build out these pieces. So again, that is available for free as my freebie. So I'm excited to have you join that. And again, if you had any questions to explore a full-on creative partnership together, again, you can just message me and I'd be happy to share more about that.
I love that. I'm going to go sign up for that freebie and check out those
Yes.
prompts. I love this conversation and I just really admire the work that you're doing and blending the strategy with the these processes, the inner child stuff, the meditation, the these intuitive practices. I think it's just so beautiful. And I love how you're bringing out authenticity and stuff. So thank you so much for coming on here. Everyone, make sure to go sign up for Isabel's freebie and check her Instagram page out. And I'm sure that you'll have people message you about branding. So I'm excited for you. But I just want to thank you again.
Thank you.